So, Tony's right. So, this is like a pickup from like the last video I did, and I don't know if they're going to be watched one after the other or whatever. Anyway, watch that other video. Don't. You know, because people be like, they're like, what's going on? Watch the other video. Um, so yeah, I was doing the other video and I ended it because it was like approaching 20 minutes and that's far too long for this channel. So I was thinking about entry points into a poem. That's what I'm concerning myself with a lot. And I think because how you enter a poem can kind of also steer you towards how you're going to end it, how you're going to leave it. Not necessarily, but I think one of the things I got back from my feedback was kind of like how I entered the poem and how I left the poem and how it felt very static, as opposed to like flowing and stuff like that. Even if I took this very hard position that it was static and stuck feeling. And so working with entry points into things, reevaluating if it's the right entry point for the poem, and if it is, okay, continue with it, but then evaluating it if it doesn't. One of the things about the entry point for me, and when I say entry point, is kind of like, it's not necessarily the first lines of the poem, but I think the word or line that maybe sparks the creation of the poem, and that could be, like I said, the very beginning. But I think when you're talking about structuring your poems also, sometimes lines in the last stanza, which is the last like block, think of it as the paragraph, the last paragraph or so, the last stanza could be like the entry point that maybe enlivens the poem, that if you take that road, that route of thinking, exploring and fleshing that idea out a little bit that is expressed, that would be a better way to start the poem, and that is a better and stronger, and better I mean stronger topic, a more visceral, a more specific, a more fleshable like topic, way of going about the thing. It could be like because of the syntax, it could be because of the actual language, it could be the subject matter is the truest and things like that. And so we're working through in that class, that thesis class, like the psychology around what's holding us back essentially, and what is causing a lot of like distractions within our writing, like making excuses or not wanting to do the work, or just different things that can block you from being a successful writer. And successful isn't necessarily like New York Times, but just successful in your publishing, you're meeting people, you're crafting, you're working in your craft consistently. You're not, it hasn't been like 30 years since you've written something, when you said you were going to write every year or something, like, shit like that. It's helping us, and the teacher in particular is very big on making sure that when we leave, we have a practice that we can work on ourselves. That we're not going to be like, we leave the program and then like, girl, like, I haven't written shit since. Sorry, y'all, I don't be editing nothing. And so my preoccupation is, how do I start my poems? Like, how do I start my poems? And when I look through my poems, is there an entry point into a thought that I'd rather express than the original one that was? I like the editing process a lot for poetry, actually, because I always shift my poems' perspectives quite drastically. And I think my professor kind of knows this, that like I think my professor, excuse me, trusts me enough to make the necessary changes, right? And take the feedback, right? Like, well, yes, because I do, like every portfolio I do, like it's, like I said in the previous video, like a lot of the poems get reworked significantly because I read them and I don't like them, right? Or I just feel like they would be stronger with another design. So I'm preoccupying myself with that because I want to be able to get into the flow. It's like writing poems for me can be like really hard, because I kind of think that it's not that I have expectations that this is gonna be like done when I finish it, like, but that I kind of noticed about myself. I really need to take time to kind of experience life to edit. And I've noticed that about myself in many like instances, that like I am someone who needs to experience life to shift the words on the page. Like I need to shift the words on the page. And that's a big part of my reading journey. And so maybe my output will not be as fast as other people. Either their expectations or just other people, like literally if you're comparing other people. But I think that helps me, because I don't want to be that writer that has to crank out shit just to crank it out. But I do want to be able to get into a rhythm to where I'm turning over, you know, a lot quicker, so that if I do have deadlines, right, I can meet them. And so these are the things that I'm fascinated with right now, like the entry point into the poem, like the initial line of word that kind of sends me off running essentially down this path, and the editing process of reevaluating if it's still true that I want to go down this path. Week 1 kind of showed me that my entry points, that's kind of where I'm gonna start to like really focus on my entryways and the energy, I guess, around my entryways, meaning like subconscious beliefs, actual like surface beliefs, reactions to contradictions, contrarian, or just points of agreement with like certain things I'm concerning myself with a lot. So yeah, that was week 2. So now we're just going through the workshops and stuff like that. I gotta double check my projects, because I gotta make sure that my projects are on schedule, not on point, on schedule. Because if they're not, this is a big issue. I just want to make sure that like I don't wake up one day and then it's like, yeah, that's just due today. You know. So yeah, that's it. And yeah, I'm gonna go to the next video. This one is wrapped up. I think I'm gonna do like 4 or 5 videos this week, so we're gonna go to the next one. All right, bye.